And thank you. We are back after the holidays. We hope you had a nice holiday with your family as we get back to Wright State University basketball here at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. We have coaches shows the next 3 weeks, and that will be both with the women's and men's. And we start out here tonight from 5:30 until 6 with the head coach of the women's program, Katrina Merriweather. And coach, could be smiling a little bit. Your team has won 11 of 12 games, off to a 4-0 start out of the gate in the Horizon League this year. Boy, a lot of excitement with your team this year, and you have to be really pleased with the way they're playing right now. Can you put a finger on why your team is gelling and playing so well?
I think you said it. It's gelling together. We knew it would take a little bit of time for them to get some games under their belt. We had so many new pieces that were so important to what we were doing that they had to learn each other, figure out how to play together, find out each other's strengths. And I think that they've managed to do that pretty well.
Well, you won those two, on the road to get the season started. You got it home with Green Bay and Milwaukee. But let's go back earlier. You finished the non-conference season with, just that one loss, but that was overtime, at Charlotte. You had a 7 or 8 game winning streak, in going into that game. Now you've run off 4 straight again since that time. Those games we talked about earlier, where you played at those neutral sites, a chance, to get away, out in California, Las Vegas, and New York, a chance for your team to kind of just get together and know each other. That had to be a benefit.
I think it is. Again, having that opportunity to take a trip to California where we stayed an extra day and Tyler got a chance to spend some time with her family, I think that our kids really grew closer in that moment. I think those are critical parts of the season. Just going in the night before and playing a game and coming back, I don't know that you get a chance to do that. You kind of go just eat dinner and then go to the hotel. So we were able to do some activities like we talked about in New York. We went to the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. You just kind of get to know them a little better, and they get to know each other outside of just basketball, and I do think that matters.
All right, well, you look at that game with Charlotte and lose a tough one there in overtime, but then you start the league season against one of the best teams in the league, and you've been telling us all season long, you say that the Horizon League women's basketball is so much better this year. There's so much competition in this league. You start out with one of the better teams on the road, and you beat IUPUI.
Yeah, and that's always a tough one. It's interesting that Coach Parkinson and I had a conversation earlier today. We have a lot of respect for each other. I really think a lot of what he's done in his players, and our styles are pretty similar too, which I think is why the games are always so close. And they're going to be tough having a post presence like Macy Williams, and he's just got good shooters. He's got a tall 4 player. Like, he's got all these pieces that, they're just hard to play against. So it was really good to go out there and come out on top.
Well, you win a game like that, you're on the road, it's the first game in the league, the players are probably feeling really good about themselves, and sometimes in sports we've seen it many times where they call it the letdown, but you guys go up to UIC and you take care of business.
Well, we started off pretty slow there, though. We were tied up, I believe, after the first quarter. So, we have some growing to do still. Our second game is not always that hot just yet, so we got to figure out how to get the day between right so that they can make sure that they come out with a lot of energy for the second game.
And then the weekend you come home. This past weekend, it started out with Green Bay. Always, that's the team that everybody has to shoot for and try to compete against. And we have highlights from Green Bay and also Milwaukee from this weekend. So if we can, for those here joining us at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek and those watching on the stream, here are the highlights from the weekend games.
Yeah, Mikkel Miller comes out, and the first shot we take is her 3, and it goes down, and we're like, okay, this could be good. We force them into some turnovers. You see Mackenzie passing to Emily up the floor there. And Tyler Frierson doing a really good job.
You don't see that often against Green Bay getting offensive rebounds.
No, I'm telling you, there's, and they're human, and there's Simone Simmons, who's just a monster rebounding, and she's the one to me who has been the most consistent. Angel Baker's just a great point guard with good passing skills. She sees the floor so well, and Deja finishing there.
You're getting a lot of contributions from a lot of players.
It was the only way that we were going to have a chance to be a championship team was to try to get as many people on the floor that could do as many things as possible and be really versatile. There's Emily getting a pull-up jump shot. And again, I think that it's really hard to pick who you're going to guard out there. So they leave Angel Baker open. She makes a 3 in the corner. Sally, Tanisha Dixon, we call her Sally, gets in the game, and she catches it and lays it in, and we're like, oh, okay. And when Mikhail feels it and her feet are set, she's a really, really good three-point shooter.
That's a tough shot right there.
Yeah, it is. And then here we go with Tyler, offensive rebound and put back. And when she gets that rebound and keeps it high, she does a good job.
He's according to these highlights, a
Yeah,
lot of offensive rebounds.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is the first time I woke up and felt like we had a really good chance to be successful that day. It's another three by Mackenzie Taylor. And now Mikhail Miller getting to the rim after she's made a couple of threes. Again, we just have so many versatile offensive players. And Naja Harris, a freshman, coming off the bench with a deep three. It felt really good.
Boy, she was set right there. Here's the Milwaukee game.
Yeah, Mac opens it up, got a three in the corner. You just got to make a choice on who you're going to guard, and it's not that easy. And here we go. We didn't get a lot of offensive rebounds that game, but that's one of them with Simone Simmons, who just works tirelessly because they do everything they can to box her out. Imani Parlow is a handful in that post.
I looked at the stats. This game was really close.
Yes, Angel Baker with a floater there. Again, we got to figure out how to come out a little more aggressive, I think, and not settling for threes, but there's another one going in. Emily makes one.
Emily's got a quick release.
She does. We can ISO Mikhail often and get a pretty good shot out of it. High chance we're going to get a score. Emily, again, who I think is one of the top defenders in the league, does a great job of shooting gaps and getting steals and layups. And then Imani Parlow hits a three. And a lot of people don't know. She's a really good shooter. If you watch her form, you can really tell from the free throw line and even from about 15 feet. So Max made a couple threes. They jump out there on her, so now she's laying it in. And I think that the kids have done a really good job of buying into taking what the defense gives them and not forcing stuff. Mac with another three.
Well, you look at – I was looking at his highlights, and you can see a lot of movement, within your offense. That's good to see and finding some good shots. And it seems like the three-point shooters there in those highlights were already set and ready. They were shot ready when they received their pass.
We talk about all the time, we can always pass up a good shot for a better shot. And if we can just buy into that and everybody can believe that that's going to be everybody at some point, then everyone's going to get their fair share. This is a team, we've got to shoot the ball between 70 and 80 times for everybody to be happy because there's just a ton of offensive weapons. And I don't think that they're selfish at all or they really care or count, but they want to contribute so bad. They want to prove that they can all give something to this team and really help each other win. And we just got to play fast. So there's enough shots out there for everybody.
All right, sit tight. We'll be back. I take our first break right now from Flyboys in Beaver Creek. This is the Katrina Merriweather Show. We're talking Wright State University women's basketball.
Come celebrate Wright State's 20th Arts Gala on April 13th. Enjoy an incredible evening of performances by our talented art students, plus fine dining and auction items too. All proceeds support arts scholarships. That's Arts Gala on April 13th.
Back with Coach Merriweather. We are here at Flyboys in Beaver Creek. Thanks, everybody, for coming out here tonight. Very windy night here throughout the Miami Valley, out here in Greene County. We appreciate you taking the time out and talking Wright State basketball. We're talking with the women's coach, Katrina Merriweather, up until 6 o'clock here tonight. Coach, coming up next, you've got a very scrappy team. You talked about them the last couple of years, and that's the Norse of Northern Kentucky University. You play Saturday afternoon at the BB&T Arena on Saturday. Hey, guys, you'll be heading down Friday. The men's team plays on Friday night. Get a chance for all the team to come over and see that and get ready for another tough contest on the Horizon League.
Absolutely. We're excited about getting there the night before and getting a chance to see the men play. I think it's always good to support each other when we can because, like you always mentioned, we're opposite of each other all the time. So it'll be nice to watch them go down there and win.
Well, let's talk about the Norse a little bit. When I brought it up during the break, your eyebrows raised up against you. This is a team that you really got to be ready for because they're just so scrappy and they make you try to do things you're not comfortable with.
They do all the time. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would say that the game plan is just make them play ugly because they're going to be all over the place and scrappy defensively and getting deflections and trying to disrupt the flow of your offense. And then they're really aggressive and they attack. They've got good shooters. They've got good rebounders. They got some kids that can put it on the floor. So their record is very misleading. That's for sure.
Well, they're 2-2 to start the year, and since they are the so-called travel partners with Wright State, They split with UIC and IUPUI on the road, and they split at home, beat Milwaukee, but they lost to Green Bay this past weekend. But, you know, you have to put that all behind you. What do you do about preparing your team? You talk about, you know what to expect, you know how to play, but until actually that ball goes up when you jump ball to begin the game, you know, you just want to see how your team is ready for a game like this, being 4-0 already.
Well, it's such a mental challenge for them to stay aggressive and tough and have the same mentality that we did while we were trying to be on top, with the feeling that you have that we already are. It's just a long season. So the 4-0 is great, and I'm trying to do a better job of celebrating and staying in the moment with those things and getting them to do the same thing too. But sometimes that's just the roll of the dice, you know. So we try not to focus a whole lot on what has happened anyway and always play the very next game, and so that's what the goal is.
That's where you, I would think, you know, would rely upon your senior leadership, your upper class individuals to be able to take control of the team and keep everybody pretty much level-headed.
Yeah, and again, I talk to our team a lot, and so do the other coaches. We do our best to keep a pulse on them to see how they're feeling, what they're thinking, because I was exhausted after Thursday, you know, and I had to get myself up to play Milwaukee and getting them to understand that it doesn't do you any good to beat the people that you are not supposed to beat, quote-unquote, depending on seedings and rankings and that sort of thing, and then turn around and lose to the people that you're supposed to beat. So at this point now, just one game at a time, we got to figure out how to compete with everybody and hopefully come out on top.
Well, as you just said, it's early in the season, just 4 games into the 18-game schedule. You know, anything can happen between now and then. You know, everybody has to go back and play everybody once again after the first 9 games. But talk about your team, because that's all you can really focus on right now. You get through the non-conference season. Like you said, you know, you won, 7 out of 8 games there at the final 8 games of non-conference. Your record right now, you know, overall is 12-4, which is really awesome. You know, but those games are in the past. But you look at that non-conference schedule and you tell yourself, okay, what were some of the things that you thought were good and some of the things you need to continue to work on?
Well, opening up out there on the West Coast was a little tough, and it was meant to be. You got travel, you got the time difference. Bakersfield was really athletic. They were going to challenge us, and UNLV obviously had the name, and they're huge. And so I think that those were 2 different looks for us, and we didn't do such a good job of taking care of the ball. We had turned the ball over on the outlet. We had done some things that showed that we had a lack of discipline and fundamentals. So I think when we came back, and I also was trying to get that team to reverse the ball so much. Reverse the ball, get it moving, get it moving, and then I realized we're turning it over because we're trying to pass it too much. We just need to be aggressive and attack and allow them to make plays. We've got good players, so let's let them play.
Well, you look at the overall stats and you talk about turnovers. This season so far, though, more assists than turnovers, albeit maybe, 5 or 6, but still, you know, that's something good to see and some improvement in.
It is for us. We don't have a lot of assists because it's a dribble drive offense, and we jokingly say we don't pass all that well, so we just don't. And I do think that we have some playmakers, though. Again, when the ball's in Angel Baker's hands, like I think a lot of really good things happen.
You know, and that's interesting that you say that because, you know, teams have to find out what their identity is. And if everybody on the team can accept that and everybody knows what it takes to win, you know, then you've really got a head start on your team as far as being able to compete and win a championship.
And I think that was part of the battle. Like you said, we challenged them very early and told them it was the worst rebounding team that we have ever coached. And they turn around and they're ranked nationally in total rebounds. They're ranked nationally in offensive rebounds. And, you know, those things are really cool to see them turn around and respond and actually buy into what we're saying, that these things are important. And if you just do it, then we'll have a chance to be really, really good. And for them to say, well, okay, coaches, like, we're listening to you, we'll do the best we can.
What's it like at practice, especially when a team wins?
Oh, this team has so much personality. Practice. Practice it can be really fun and very light, and then there's those moments where I've had enough of the laughing and joking, and we got to hunker down and focus a little bit. But I do enjoy the fact that they're happy to be there. I do enjoy that it's not a job for them, that it's a place where they actually want to be. But there are those times where I've got to, you know, we got to focus and zone in a little bit.
What's it been like, you know, for the seniors to this point? Because now, you know, it's the league season, you know, there's a lot on the line, you know, and this is how they're going to go out. You know, it's always interesting to kind of gauge and, you know, get an eye, you know, what is going through their minds as you head towards the end of the year.
Well, I think that what they've realized is this is the first time that they believe that everyone's on the same page. It's not about any one person. It's not about any awards or accolades. It's just simply about being the best team that we can be, and if we do that, then we have a really, really good chance of winning. And I think that those seniors, I'm so happy for them, because you go 4 years and you haven't beaten someone, and the only people that they have not beaten is Green Bay. Is 2 years ago we were 16-2. It was the only team that we lost to, was Green Bay. And again, I think that those things are important for them. So I'm just happy for them, because I know that they believed the whole time, but now they've got something to back it up.
Well, Emily Vogelpohl, I mean, you just look at her stats. You know, she doesn't have to be the leader in everything, but you look across there, she's so consistent in what she does. And sometimes the type of player that you have out there, it doesn't bear out in the stats. It's all the other things that she does. And it appears that not only she may be enjoying this season, you're around it a lot more than I am, but also the fact that she seems to understand what it takes to win, and she's able to relate that to her teammates.
What Emily does is whatever you need her to do. And she has a pulse on the game where she watches and, okay, Mac is making some threes. That's good. I'll shoot some pull-ups. Or Mikhail's getting to the rim. All right, I'll make a three. Because she can do all of it too. But she does not care about being first team all conference. She does not care about any of that stuff. All that kid cares about is that they go out and they accomplish what they set out.
That's a coach's dream, isn't it?
Oh, I'm telling you, it's funny you say that. We have an accountability day, which is kind of when we have a break. And I think you probably have heard me talk about it before. Everything that they've done up until that point, if you didn't turn your books in on time, if your GPA was below a 3.0, like any of this stuff, like they run for it. It's a consequence for not doing what you're supposed to do. And I'm watching Emily, and she's running, because there's some stuff they have to do as a team, because she doesn't do anything individually. So she's running the team stuff. And there's a 10-and-1, so it's 10 touches in a minute. And those are pretty tough to make after you ran already, had an individual, and been at weights. Well, I put a minute 20 up because some people are going to need more time than that. But not Emily. She makes it at a minute, and it's just because she can. And it wasn't because she was competing with anybody or anything else. It's just her. She's going to do the best she can all the time. It's just
really,
awesome.
really have to like that, because, you know, again, there's 14 more games left on the Horizon League schedule, but to be able to win and work through any deficiencies you may have and have leadership like that on the floor, you know, you just knock on wood and hope things continue to go that way, with the help of the seniors. And also, I know you're real happy to have the staff that you have here at Wright State.
Yeah, everyone knows. I mean, you can just watch us. When I go back and I look at the games on ESPN Plus or ESPN3, and you watch that bench, and the players are so excited, and they're all over the place, and you watch the staff, and they're up, and they're jumping and high-fiving, and it's just it just feels really good. And so when you say family, it's really great to be able to feel it, and for everyone else to be able to see it too. And I know that it has an impact on our kids and how they treat each other.
All right, stay with us. We'll take our final break. More of the Katrina Merriweather Show from Flyboys in Beaver Creek when we come back after these messages.
Hi, I'm Bob Grody, class of 1976 and former Raiders player and coach. Did you know that once you're a Wright State grad, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association? As a member, tap into the Wright State Network, attend a local alumni event, and earn discounts and special offers. Log on to WrightStateAlumni.com and make the most of your membership. Thank you, and go Raiders.
Along with the head coach, Katrina Merriweather, and a lot of good fans out here at the Flyboys in Beaver Creek for the Katrina Merriweather Show. We're back again next week, 5:30 again. Hope to see you out here. If not, we're streaming live on the Wright State website, WSURaiders.com, and also you can hear it right here on the radio at AM 980 WONE. And Coach Merriweather, we were talking during the break, you know, of course, your team off to a good start in the league at 4-0, 12-4 overall, have won 11 out of your last 12. Coming up next is Northern Kentucky on Friday. But, you know, fans always eager to know what you have coming in here soon, and you've got a couple players signed. Tell us a little bit about it.
We've got a couple. Summer Blevins, who we signed out of high school, ended up in junior college for a couple years. So we have her coming back, 6'2" kid from Mount Pleasant, Ohio, can shoot the three, rim touching, passing. I've kind of referred to her as kind of a Magic Johnson type of point guard. I'm going to play her at the 4, but she can pass that ball, and she's got a lot of range, and she's just going to fit in really well with our kids. So that'll be exciting, especially to bring her back a little closer to home because she's been away for a couple years. And then we have KK, who is from Michigan, who is a 5 player, who's really athletic, runs track, cross country, that sort of thing, so that we can get kind of that speedy, fast 5 player in there when we want a different look than we have with Tyler or Tanisha. So that part's pretty exciting too. And then we've got one who's signed that's coming at Christmas. She's a transfer from Marist, so she'll be here in a couple of days.
What kind of player?
She's a post player too.
Okay.
Very, very skilled. Will remind you of a taller Imani.
Okay.
So again, we knew we were losing her and graduating her, and so that's pretty exciting. We're looking forward to. Coach Tennille is really looking forward to some workouts with those new ones.
Boy, when you talk about recruiting, that obviously is something that takes a lot of time with you as well as your assistants, but it's so vitally important, obviously, for your program's success. Talk a little bit about, what you guys, have to do, because you're still playing during the season,
right,
and you delegate that to your entire staff.
Absolutely, and I think that's what helps us. Our entire staff recruits. I'll be flying out tomorrow to go to Dallas, and then the next day to Florida, and then come back and we'll practice, and then we'll go to a game, all 4 of us, on Thursday night. So, it's just part of the schedule. But I love it. The whole process is what I love, getting to know a prospective student athlete and their family, and finding out if it's a good fit or not, and if it works for both parties. Every time we bring a kid in for an official visit, they know that it's not just about us impressing them so much as it is me trying to figure out if you fit in with what we're trying to do. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes they spend 48 hours with this, and I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Well, this isn't just like something, the process is just easy where you put up a map and you take a dart and you throw it and you're going to head out somewhere. It isn't that way. You have to do a lot of research. Of course, there's a lot of recruiting lists that you look at, the type of players, of course, resources, you have to consider that too. Putting all of that together, I don't think people realize how difficult it is.
It's really difficult, and Ashley Barlow is our recruiting coordinator, and she's so organized and so meticulous about all those details. Is you got to know the rules, and there has to be a calendar, and there has to be a list, and there's all these different things that are going on. But again, Abby's really good recruiting down there in Kentucky. And Ashley's connections are in Indiana, and Tennille has a ton of them because she's been out in the D.C. area, and she recruits hard in Texas. And I just think we have a very complete staff in terms of getting out there and really working hard, and then just a lot of personality. So I think a lot of kids are drawn to us too, so that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, going out there evaluating, you've seen a lot of players, for you that's something you're probably comfortable with as well as your staff, but again, with the NCAA, you have so many restrictions. Some of the things that you have to put up with, you can talk about that.
Yeah, the restrictions are tough. So, again, there's a couple kids that we're recruiting that haven't committed yet in their 2019s. And so I'm going to go to Texas, but I can't talk to this kid face-to-face. But I can take 5 steps away and call her on the cell phone, and we can talk. And so sometimes you wonder what the purpose is a little bit, but I'm sure for every rule it's because someone abused it. So I don't spend a lot of time on it, but it would be nice if those were a little different.
Well, these potential recruits too, they have to be careful. And are they educated by their high school coaches and summer coaches on what some of these rules are? Let's just say out of the blue they text you and they're not required to do that.
Well, a lot of the time, no. And the NCAA allows us to respond one time and say,
okay,
I'm not allowed to communicate with you via text, email, etc. until September 1st of your junior year. They allow us to do that one time. But any other time, it's just really rude to me. I mean, they text and they try to update you, and you can't say anything back. They don't know if you got it or not. So it does. Some things make it really tough. But I guess it's just the nature of the game, and I guess people need that. I mean, if I'm a 14-year-old phenom, do I really need 30 college coaches trying to talk to me, every day of the week? So I get it.
Coaches' meetings at the end of the year, is this something that's brought up? Is it something other coaches that talk about get together and just try to refine things to make it a little easier, for every team in Division I?
I think so. I'm a conference captain this year, so I get to be on some of those phone calls, and we talk about the legislature and the things that are going on within the NCAA. And there's such a discrepancy between what the Power Five wants to do sometimes and the remainder of the conferences. And we get a chance to get input from our conferences and bring it to the table. But at the end, I really think it's just about working hard and working smart. Recruiting to me is not just about going out and getting the best player you can. I don't recruit anyone who doesn't want to be at Wright State. Not begging anyone to come here, because then you got to beg them to play, you got to beg them to stay. So if you don't see the value in what we do, not only on the floor but in the classroom, and what we do is our environment, then it's just not the place for you, and I'm okay with that.
Finally, Coach Merriweather, real quick, team is off to a successful start. Hear from Coach Bradbury?
All the time. Oh, and of course I heard from him after Green Bay, him and Keith both. But Keith had sent me a really cool book that's titled What's Really Important. And it's kind of what goes through after you win championships and you do things, and not to forget life. You know, you get so intent on chasing something that you don't want to forget to live. And he's just so awesome and continues to help me grow, even though he's hours away. And Mike does the same thing, but Mike's just more of a celebratory mentor. You know, he's screaming, heck yeah, you know, on the phone. But you can imagine what that sounded like. It wasn't heck. But
if you know him, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, they're just happy and proud for me and, of course, the girls, as they have a great relationship with them, too.
Coach Merriweather, our time again has gone by real quickly. Best of luck against Northern Kentucky coming up Saturday afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody that comes out. I appreciate you.
All right, fans, it's a short trip down to Northern Kentucky. Support these women. They're 4-0 in the league. They're 12-4 overall. Stay with us. Coming up next, the Scott Nagy Show. We're talking Wright State men's basketball. This is Wright State University basketball.